Henry McClure live. Hey, how you doing tonight? Henry McClure live. I just came from a North Topeka NIA meeting, and I'm telling you something. It was interesting. Good people. They got to get some more members. If you're interested in doing something if you're going to get into politics, if you're going to run for city council, uh, you want to be the mayor. I want to be the governor. Hey, I'm not kidding you. Uh, why wouldn't I qualify to be governor? If you just make government smaller and run it with common sense, you, you know, even though he's a Democrat, who was that one guy? Will Rogers. Will Rogers was good friends with Charles Curtis. I learned that. I learned that from Deb Goodrich. You know what? Another thing I learned interviewing her, and I'm going to take this book home. I need to. From Reservation to Washington, The Rise of Charles Curtis. I can't wait to read this. But what was really fascinating is I learned now how my dad grew Stauffer Communication. And I really like to dig into this, but Dad had to buy uh, the newspapers from uh, Senator Capper. And there was a thing back in the 50s. It was called Pardon My Bloopers. And my dad actually had a blooper. He introduced on the radio, on WIBW radio, Senator Crapper. Neil Dobler told me one day I was the most politically incorrect person he'd ever met, and I thanked him. And I think over the years, political correctness was a way to browbeat people into having just to speak their mind, to talk about, what's really the future, or what's current going on. And I think it's a real shame the racism we have in this town. Uh, it's it's just a shame. And we, Morgan Freeman on an interview with Mike Wallace, the good news reporter, Black History Month. He goes, well, we don't need it. And they, I'm going to quit calling you a white man. You're going to quit calling me a black man. It's just so simple. I love it when my black friends call me black. Henry, they don't know you're black. We're just people, man. And what's really a shame, it's you could take the theory of racism and you could apply that to political parties. You really could. You could apply it to be in a Republican and a Democrat. And that's even worse. That's even worse. That and like Steve Kavanaugh is always hating all the stuff, anything that I put down there, and I know Steve. He's a good dude, and I don't care whether he's a Republican or Democrat. But I want to ask Steve the benefits because all the senators in the Democratic senators voted to create a procedural problem to block men being in women's sports. And I think what's happened is some of the perversion of the transgender and men and women sports and all this stuff is a distraction. And that distraction is just so they can launder more money into Ukraine. And if you're going to stand with Ukraine and you're going to talk about it, go stand with Ukraine in Ukraine. You know, I've done some research. I'm not there's and it's what I like about Trump today. It's just common sense. You know, sometimes hey, get the Trump watch. Hey, but look, he's doing it all transparent. I'm telling you, Mace Siegel, the guy I worked for, is 3 times the real estate guy Donald Trump ever was. And Mace just did his own thing. And, you know, I feel like channeling Mace. Just make some real estate deals. Just keep going on. You know, I like people too much to be. I couldn't hate a guy just because he's a Democrat. I wouldn't unfriend you if you're broken down on the side of the road. I'd stop and pull over and help you. I would. I'd give you a ride. I'd take you back with the gas can. Whatever. You know, even if you're one of the goofballs, and there's a much better word than goofball I'd really like to use, that thinks men ought to be in women's sports. Why have we been fighting this war for so long? Doesn't make sense. You know, I don't know. It's just like, um, where can we find common ground? And you know something? That's where I find the common ground in deal making. I don't care. Let's make a deal. Let's just and why do it's mind numbing to think, well, he's talking to Putin, so he's a Putin lover. Well, Putin is a mafia thug. That's all he is. Um, Zelensky is a thug. You know, I don't even know how that guy rose to power. I mean, that's worse than Biden. He's a dancing guy. Have you ever seen him jiggling around his little suits? And I don't know. A lot of people said he wasn't even that funny of a comedian. But what's gone on in the Ukraine, it's just terrible. Uh, it think about it. They ambushed President Trump over the phone call, and the deep state guy that did that little puke. Um, Man, I hope Pete Hegseth gets him. Where you know, and what he did was treasonous. I think what Miley did was treasonous. But think about it. We've had bio labs in Ukraine where Fauci's doing gain of function research. And Hunter Biden, could you guys live on $83,000 a month? Could you? Could you get by? And think about all the cocaine he did, and the hookers, and all that. And you know, if a guy wants to do that, well, I guess that's his personal choice. I mean, think about it. I think there's places in Nevada where prostitution's legal. You know, at some point in time, we all prostitute ourselves. It's just on how much you're going to get paid. I mean, you could look at, and I'm not saying that in the sense, that's in the analogy sense of what we do for money. But today, more than ever, I'd like Donald Trump to know, if you'd anoint me as the governor, I'd just execute your agenda. And I'd whip the uh, Speaker of the House here and the Senate President into making sure that we're doing, because I like the Make America Great agenda. I do. I like Elon Musk going in there, and that dude knows. He knows now what's really going on. Dude's a genius. And he has found, and so how could you be on this side for uh, fraud, waste, and abuse? How could you say that's what we need to do? And think about it. What I was listening to a very conservative attorney saying that the court system has no right whatsoever to get in the way of what Trump's trying to do. They don't have standing. And the executive branch, and what they did, they ambushed. The deep state ambushed Trump from the very beginning. And boy, did he come in knowing what to do. And I pray that his executive orders are now taken into the House and into the Senate and ratified as part of the, to make it the law of the land. But one of the things Mark Levine was talking about was Congress. So they've got the power of the purse, but they don't have the constitutional right to bankrupt us. And that's another thing with the city council. You guys don't have the authority to bankrupt us. You don't. The existing city council are nothing more than the deep state and the bureaucracy of this town. And that's why you got to throw every one of them out. You got to get a new mayor, throw him out. You got to get new city council people in there, and you got to all team up. I pray my man, or the not my man, but the good citizen Earl McIntosh. He's so much more conservative than me, and I think he's well spoken and more methodical about his approach. But think about it. He had 5,400 signatures that were just brushed aside by those people. And what he's trying to say is, look, we've got to have revenue neutral. Think about it. I think they're going to get through the 2025 budget based on reserves, what I understand. But 2026 has got a $15 million shortfall. And I don't think that has to do with just the roads either. So what I want to know, is there a shortfall in the operating budget as well as a shortfall on the streets and roads and bridges that we approved through the sales tax? And you got to tell me, guys, how does AIM, Enterprises, Cody Foster, and Seth, how do they deserve $9.2 million of our tax dollars? The guild's going to be off the lily on some of the good things that they've done. You won't find me, well, whatever. We got to do things different, and we got to get more people involved. It's got to come from the people. We got to get the Citizens Commission going. I think it would be fun to come up with 2,000. I think that's what it's going to cost, $2,200. Put my name on the ballot to be the governor of this state, and just tell Trump. I mean, has anybody got? Who else is going to come forward and say it like that? I'm here to execute the Make America Great, and that's the only people. That's the only people that I will help morally and financially is the people that want to execute a Make America Great agenda. I'll have you in the studio and get your point of view because we got to continue to talk. We do. We got to continue to talk with people no matter what. How can you make a deal with Putin if you're not talking to him? And Zelensky, that little fart, he came here to take Trump's temperature. He thinks he's a bigger deal than he is, and he just thought. And then he goes over and Britain and France. They'll regret putting boots on the ground over there. But it's a police action. You know, Putin, in his mind, he was over there liberating Russian speaking people that were being mistreated. But the people that think it's wrong are the same people that think men should be in women's sports. Okay, so add that up. The Ukraine people, the people that think we ought to be saving Ukraine are the same people that think women ought to be in men's sports. And they're the same people that are against investigating. Think about it. There's a lawsuit right now where a judge blocked getting records from the Treasury. So we wanted to start seeing the line items from the Treasury Department, and we're going to stop them. We're going to have a judge, and these are the majority of the judges in all the lawsuits come from Democrats. It's flat out. It's just the way it is. So let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to Harry Truman, Independence, Missouri. Give him hell, Harry. You know, when Harry Truman left Washington, D.C., he loaded up the car with Bess and drove home. He didn't have a pension, didn't have Secret Service protection. Dude dropped the atom bomb. You think there's some people that be mad at him? Harry Truman, he was a true guy. I like it. The buck stops here. And he says something about profiting from being in government is because you're a crook. Harry Truman was interesting. He was part of he was really part of the Pendergrass machine going back to Kansas City, Missouri. You know, he was really part of the Democratic old-fashioned machine back in the day. But back in the day, at least, Republicans and Democrats talked. Everybody, it's sad how the Democrats treated Bobby Kennedy Jr. And think about it. If you look at it, it's a threat to democracy. Everything is a threat to democracy. Well, we're a representative republic, and look what you did. And I think the people, so it was Obama's third term, right? Obama ran, and not Obama really, it's Soros and the people that pull the strings. You know, if I'm Trump, I want to be best friends with Elon Musk. Look how far ahead advanced the guy is. It's like, I admire Dana Kaye and May Siegel. I admire Trump. You know, a guy I worked for in the mall business built some office buildings in New York City, Henry Nathan Sims. And, building a building in New York, getting concrete deliveries was a real deal for Trump. And think about it, Trump's a Democrat and he used to grease the skids. You got to pay. You got to pay. You really do. But you guys better start looking at the people on city council. They're going to bankrupt us, and we got to get them all of them out. Spencer Duncan has no business being our mayor. We got to get a leader. We got to get new blood. And we got to simplify government. We do. We got to make it to where it's easier to do business in the city. I do want to give Quinn and Dan Warner for being at the NIA meeting. And I thought, man, look what time it is. These guys work hard. They work extra. But please, we've got to rally. Yeah, look, you're just going to keep, if you don't change everything, it's like walking around. What did that Rod Schneider said? Changing Kamala for Biden is like shitting your pants but changing your shirt. And that'd be the same as making Spencer the mayor. Oh man, I don't care what you say. It's a little funny. Oh well, hell, we just might as well have Tuck be governor or Tuck be mayor. I like Tuck. He's a good guy. Hey Tuck, how you doing on the lawsuit? Picking on your son a little bit, but let him just do what he's doing. Let's get new blood. I think this day's over. MD, get this up on YouTube, buddy. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you want to run for office, the Glass Houses studio is available for you. We got to get somebody in districts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Every one of them. We got to change them all. And we've got a new mayor candidate, threw his hat in the ring. We'll be talking about it as soon as it's public. I'd like you to come into the studio. Look, we got an extra microphone. I usually have, here I got mineral water and stuff available. Henry McClure live. We've got to speak up and change. Good night. Thank you.